Is that right? We go 6:30 to 7:30. Uh, Sometimes after 7:30, jump in. I want to talk to you for a couple minutes. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. Okay, where are we? The history. In retrospect, I've been at this for God a long time. Some of our earlier practices, and I'm going back 55 years here. Okay, for example, we would do personal work. Okay, here's their hands, and I'm feeling the hands. And they feel a little heavy and they're a little cold. And I don't feel like I have too much dexterity. You shouldn't hand me a scalpel now to do any kind of cutting work. I'm not there. And then easy, settled, personal work. Ah, hands. In a finer world, hands. I'm noticing some pulsations or tingling, some energy movement, I call that, the way it's pulsing and tingling. It's starting to glow a little bit, I think. Okay. Easy, settle, the sense of moving into a finer level, okay, of feeling. Easy. Hands. Here. They feel longer than my physical stops here, but the hands I have out here feel like they're longer. Huh. Okay. They feel like they sort of want to reach out and activate, hold things, catch things, throw things. I don't, they want to activate a bit. So we would start with something like that, and then I would bring them finer and finer. We'd probably end up with something like, in those days, something like, okay, don't look at them anymore because your eyes will see it more tangible. We've already covered the tangible a few levels. We usually end up with something like, okay, they used to be hands, but at this level of finer feeling, what are they? For me, right now, a distinct two flows. They are two flows. And of course, my attention gets drawn back to my physical pains because my body is such a wreck. But I go, yeah, that's that. That's the heavier. Now back to this level of finer feeling, the flow level, and easy. Yeah, there's some aliveness, the way they're glowing. If you were to start talking right here about the possibility of laying hands on people and helping them get better or whatever, it'd be like, oh yeah, yeah, I can feel the aliveness in the hand. That's beginning to make sense to me. Yeah, so that was one old time practice. All I was doing was getting the people to shift from the heavier into easy, the finer feeling, and from there, easy, the finer feeling. So again, just to work my own body, I didn't have to go out into the great space. Just here, in this area here, it was good enough. My concentric circle pattern was internal finer to finer to finer. Okay, so that's why I sort of didn't like the big diagrams that way. That's a different discussion. Okay, inner finer. So that was one of the old practices. We used to do a lot of partner sitting, uh, where I'd have my hands. I don't think we have to show you, Brad. I don't think I'll need you here. And somebody would sit here, and we found that the right was more a positive flow, and the left, uh, I reverse. The left received that positive flow, and the right would continue to go out. So there started to be a circuit. Now, at first, you would just feel the tangibles, their skin texture. Do they have calluses? Whatever is right there, obvious feeling. Okay? Their body warmth, pretty quick, right there, obvious feeling. Then we'd continue this pattern of easy, a little finer sensing. Okay, so we're moving inner to a finer level. Okay. What some of the things, I won't follow a particular order because I don't remember the exact order now, again, 55 years ago. Okay, the first there'd be that your tingling energy level, and you notice they had a tingling energy level that you could feel. Okay, easy, that would continue, and then you begin to realize currents are coming from them through you back out to them. So it's starting to create a circuit. Okay. And in those days, it was always the right seemed more positive, the left was more receptive. That's why we did it that way. Okay. And there started to be this current going through that both could begin to sense. No, not sense yet. Feel at a finer level. Okay. If we continue, what would we get into? Maybe begin to finer feel them, not just as energy currents going through their body, but as if more and more of their whole body was sort of like an energy field. And there'd be more of a sharing or relationship with that energy field. Okay, you're really with the person, you're starting to, in energy terms, be inside of them, and they were inside of you, kind of thing. So anyway, we do that with partners a lot. And we could also give each other feedback. Ooh, I think it's coming in here and going out there. And if they said, yes, I'm feeling that too, they get a little confirmation, which is kind of fun in the early stages. Okay. Ancient games. And then I tried to show some of that on the mat. Now I'll borrow you, but not sitting, standing thing. I think I started off in the old days with the first heavy grasp. Oh, okay. I'd be stunned. Well, what just happened? Okay. Making a little joke there. If you're really heavy, that's what happened? Okay. As you easy, you feel, and right here at this level of finer feeling, I felt a little direction. So I felt this direction go on. So at that level, it's easy to begin to blend with him. Okay, easy, finer feeling. And I think it was a hair sooner. You can take your time just so they can see. There it comes. There it is. Okay, so I don't let them glom on. I'm already feeling that. So I've laid that kind of stuff out in Aikido, just as a beginning kind of practice to settle down and open up, using this finer feeling, to get to a sensing world that's here and very important along the way. Thank you. Anybody remember history here? Noah, you were around then, and we did a lot of this in Mountain View Dojo.
Yes, we did, Sensei.
Anything that I forgot to mention that finer feeling?
That sense of the energy field got more and more pronounced, and you began to experience things about the other person that came with that finer experience of the energy field.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. At Esalen, you used to have people, uh, let's say at the beginning of the workshop, I'd like to throw this one at them, where I'd have them sit with a stranger and just, again, settle, feeling, easy, finer feeling. And what would happen, the way I set it up with them, was they could begin to feel the, I don't know, let's call it qualities. If their partner was a jokester, they could feel the humor. If their partner was a philosopher type, they could feel that. Okay. And then I'd have them, again, they don't know these people. This is brand new. They're all strangers to each other. Okay. I'd have them go out for a long walk and have a normal conversation, but see if they're, I won't say sense here, but if the finer feeling they had about them was verified. Was the jokester a funny guy? Was the philosopher definitely, obviously a philosopher? The way his conversations would go. Okay. So they get some practice, realize they had a certain level of ability that came really fast and verification on it. Yeah. So I did quite a few of these things at the Esalen workshops. I used to head them in fairly deep past finer physical feeling. I'd set it up with both of you be more open with the sense that you're opening so your partner can sort of pass through and feel the truer you, making up a word here, the truer you, not this you that you're this thing you're putting on to cope with the world, but the truer you kind of thing. The inner truth of you. And both of them would open up to allow the other one to sort of pass through, touch more of their core, who use that word there, the who are you really core. And what would happen, one thing was they could actually feel as they moved into their system, they could feel a movement coming from that system into their system. They could actually feel the breeze, energy breeze that was there. So that always showed up. Funny story there. I knew they were coming along pretty good. We changed partners there so you get some variety. Again, to help verify you weren't just making up stories because they're so different. Three people sat with this guy. There's no conversation. And the three people didn't converse with each other about this guy. Okay. It was a silent sitting. And as soon as we were finished with that piece, we changed partners. Again, no discussions about anything. We change partners and do the same thing with a different partner. Well, the three partners in a row all experience the interior of this guy. Bear with me on the words. They all saw a white stallion. No, he wasn't wearing a cowboy's belt buckle, right? He wasn't wearing a T-shirt with a horse thing on it. They just all saw a white stallion. No, in those days, I didn't want to continue finer and finer to interpret that or have that explain itself. But it's just interesting that three different people sitting with this guy, all finer and finer and finer, into this guy, all saw the same thing, all experienced the same thing. I thought that was fun. They had fun with that. Are you following anything I'm saying here?
Absolutely.
Susan, are you on a clear zone? She's not. Susan, damn the hills. Okay. I was going to have her if she remembered.
Sensei, yes, I am here. Sorry.
Were you sleeping? Did I wake you?
I had technical difficulties. I was stopping so you wouldn't have to hear road noise this time.
Okay, slow it down a bit. Your voice carries, slow it down. Did you follow what I was saying? Did you hear what I was saying?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I have a question. Would you say that you were working with selves at that time?
Uh, 55 years ago, I don't think that word was in my repertoire, although I may have been myself funning around there. But why should that come up? We're just doing simple, finer feeling level.
Uh-huh.
I don't need a self per se to do finer feeling per se, do I?
Okay.
Don't lead us astray,
No.
Susan. Okay.
Never you mind.
Talk to you later. What I was going to ask was, do you remember, can you go through quickly your stages going from a normal physical therapist, body manipulator, let's call you, okay? Finer
Okay.
feeling and continuing that. Can you go through that quickly, as best as you can recall your history through those stages?
So starting with training with you and developing a sense of
Don't
finer
that word,
energy
a
feelings,
finer feeling.
a finer feeling of
Whatever. How?
levels of energy.
Okay. Your work changed then, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Give us some examples. First, you're just a physical manipulator. You're basic physical therapy. What you learned in school, boom, you're good at it. But it's a level. Now you catch on to finer feeling. And you're touching those same types of bodies. Now, at finer, what are you feeling?
Well, I brought up the story last session of appreciating how much more information was available about the system, with really just a light touch compared to, the more complex, detailed physical manipulation evaluation that I was taught to do. So that information was readily available with just simply, a light touch.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could feel that information. You could experience that information. Could I say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I brought that up because I want people not to think this is just an idea. And because you're smart, you're going to stick your idea in this. And no, don't go there. Sensing experientially sensing, and in an experience of, brought the word of sensing, in that this experience that we're going through, the experience of a finer dimension, and then you know more. There's more intelligence right there with that experience. Okay, so we need the experience. You got people, you got what I'm saying?
That's only available to me if I settle deeply and open.
Yeah. And she's referring to a sense of feeling it, experiencing it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. See, I'm trying to make a distinction over and over and over again because it's an ancient problem of, oh, I understand. I got it. No, you ain't got it. You got the library of it, but there hasn't been any funning around and there's no gymnasium character. The finer feeling healer or whatever. Okay. And you got to get clear on that difference. Otherwise, I'll bitch and moan about it forever because it's ancient and I'd like to sort of start to knock it off a bit if possible. Okay. Experience, feel the feeling. Can't say it any better. And Susan, you're moving along. Moving into what level of finer feeling?
Well, certainly a next level if I'm working with a child and his or her family would be experiencing, feeling much more of the dynamics between the child and his family.
Okay, you made a big jump there, so it was a big jump. No problem. I just wanted to keep it on a dot, 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 like I did with the hands, you know. Or, oh, my hands feel warmer. Oh my God, I think there's a current coming and going. Oh, your current is touching my current. I think we're sharing currents. I just wanted to go click, 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 click. You did a big step for them, and I don't know if I'm ready for it or if they're ready for it. And is that okay? With my apologies?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And you apparently can't simplify for me, so should we move on?
Yes. I think, well, partly because I was working with kids and families all day today. So that actually is very much a next.
Yes, but see, I didn't want the next. I didn't want a past life appearance, knowing why the kid is kind of screwed up this life. I don't want to go there. It's too far. It's too much.
Is he laying on tonight?
I'm sorry,
Is he
Elaine.
laying?
I don't know, Elaine.
No,
Is he
no, Sensei,
No?
she's not here.
not on?
Hold on. She could probably explain a next very nicely.
Well, she has to be on to do so. So anyway, but this is good basic. This feeling, finer feeling, finer feeling. So let's stop there and dialogue for a bit. I didn't lose you on that, did I?
Mike from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yes, I remember in some of the much earlier visits
Wait a
to
minute, a little slower, a little slower.
New Zealand.
Zealanders blur for us.
All right. And you were doing basic Taino Enka exercise, but at the end of the exercise or the end of the movement, you were then maintaining the contact and walking uke around. And the words you were using were because you're gathering more information through the connection about what's going to naturally flow next.
Yeah, and involved in a situation, you can continue this, what we call it, movement into finer to continue to pick up even more information. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. And it's funny because I'd also learned that from my Kung Fu teacher years before, that you want to have as much contact as you can with your other party for as long as you can, because you gather information. And that, you know, in the case of what we're doing here now, that that develops a better relationship between you and your partner because you have more information.
Watch out for very, very short engagements.
Yes.
Kind of flavor. Not that you can't hit on with somebody, really click, but jump the gun too fast. There's a lot of information you don't have.
Yeah, you miss. Yes.
Yeah. And could come back and bite you in the butt, we say. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so it's kind of basics here, I think. Say something. Help me out here, people.
Sensei, Bob here.
Yeah.
One of the things that used to happen in the partner practice you were describing that I think is pretty basic is you would start to feel that energy circulation. And if the other person had a block in some place in their system, you could start to feel the energy moving toward that block. And on a good day, the block would clear up and then the flow would be more complete.
Yeah. If they opened up there and stuff, but
Right.
you could feel if they had a blockage because the energies would go ding and then maybe
Exactly so.
but they weren't. They were really kind of here and bing, 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 slow things down. Yeah. So I'd say to somebody, what? We say things like, oh, you got to loosen up your hip a little bit or something because it was being held too taut, right?
Yes, that's
Like
right.
that. Yeah. 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 Okay. Come on, people. Talk to me. Jesus.
Sensei, this is Justin.
Justin.
Hi. A similar thing happens in the center when working with clients. For example, if I'm settling and opening with them, they start to settle and open too in response, and then they'll remember or recall or express things that at first didn't seem at all related to the reason that they came in, much like I'm sure Susan experiences with her clients. And they'll realize that there's something deeper going on that wasn't on the surface that comes up because we resonate with each other. And when one of us is settling and opening, the other party, if they're available for it and not blocking it per se, goes through a similar process too.
Yeah. That's why I tell the therapist types, if they were more, what words should we use here? Open, that because of this mirroring, mimicking effect on each other that's possibly there, that you're saying, yeah, that it's easier for them with their therapist to lay out the real problems. Because in the heavier, they just want to tell them some whatever kind of normal bullshit. But the real problem is being held in. If the therapist isn't open enough, he may not catch that. He may not know how to be more open so they can naturally sort of mimic him, whatever word we need there, a mirroring or something, for this to happen. Yeah. Yeah. Susan has had the same experiences. Susan, you want to jump in on that piece right there?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Justin and Sensei. What to say? I think it is remarkable how much people are able to open up and settle if I, as a therapist,
If you do it.
part to open and settle. Yes.
And Susan often calls me, always with the same kind of, at first, little story here, where the child came in very protective and whatever, and whatever she lines up, this sense of her being settled and open, the child is affected by that. And the next week when they come in, they're coming in more open. They're happy to see her. Whereas the first visit, they were like, kind of thing. So I hear this from Susan all the time. Yeah. It's not just opening for that moment, but in a lot of cases, they retain that. And she sees a difference from one week to the next in some cases, just because they're more open. Their systems can flow better, more harmonious, whatever. Yeah, Susan, you want to add anything there?
Yeah, it's actually quite just beautiful sometimes how immediate the connection is when they come back and how clearly they're able to settle in response to my settling at that next session. I mean, it's almost as if it's almost as if I'd seen them every day in between. It's just,
Yeah, so you don't have to start off brand new, heavy again. There's this continuation that seems to go on.
Right.
Yeah. And you're going to have to make up the proper words there, but yeah. Yeah.
Sensei, Sean here.
Sean there.
I feel as if this is I've heard you say stuff like this before when you say fields want to relate to fields. They just naturally do that. And even if a person isn't conscious of relating to as a field, if the field itself of a healer or whatever um, communicates with another person from that level, it elicits, it brings out that sense of field energy in the client, whatever, patient, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes?
Or the two people recognize as what? Maybe a similarity, or they're a kindred soul. Could we use that phrase?
Or there's a harmonic. We talked about this the other night.
Fine,
There's
whatever
a
word there.
harmonic
Yeah, there's a
going.
click. You want to
Yep.
call it harmonic, you want to call it a
Yep.
recognition and a kindred soul.
Yep.
Any damn words you like, but yeah, we're all talking the same thing here.
You
Okay?
got it.
So you
Yep.
like your words? Fine. Let me have my words.
Yeah.
Because we're
Thank you,
talking the
Sensei.
same shit here.
Yep.
And we confuse people sometimes if we use too many variations of words. Oh, you do it that way. I do it this way. And they get a little screwy with that. If they were clearer on things, they could say, oh, you're into music. Oh, and you're cool. I'm into martial arts and I'm kind of cool. They know they're at a similar level, if they are, in fact. They can sort of relate to each other a certain way. Did I say that right?
Yes, I agree. I think what you say is what I relate to more than anything else is when you say fields want to relate to fields. They just naturally do that. And that's where that word came from, this that sense of like one thing vibrating, whatever, and it responds, and the other person responds in a way that is outside of the norm.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of my boy to girl games, waitresses, whoever, I usually ask them what their real job was. Meaning, I know waitress isn't your chosen career. What's your real thing? And they like that because I was going a little, let me use my words for a while, deeper into the system. And you got more going for you within you, and you know it, than the occupation you happen to be in. Did I say that right? Anyway, they respected it. They lit up. It helped me play the boy girl game back in the day when I loved playing that game. Or if I touch them, I think I mentioned I had a good touch. Meet some lady and taking her home, put my hand on her hand, and she'd be like, bing. And later she'd say, that did it. As soon as you touch my hand, I was touching her deeper. I was touching her from a finer place to a finer place. So they feel instantly more at ease with you, comfortable with you, all kinds of, they know you kind of care, whatever. So it was all boy girl games I used to play and keep practicing. See, that's the main thing. It's a way of keeping the practice going. Anyway, and Steve, your story with the singer, what the hell's his name?
Rick Nelson.
Field. Yeah. Now,
Rick
following the field connection, did you want to say that story the same or a different way to bring that out? What we were just talking about?
Right. Yeah. My tendency to see somebody like that would be to get very tight because here's this opportunity for me, and I forget, to blend. So that would be probably my initial take. But in this situation, as I mentioned before, I was generous enough, and I think that allowed me to open more to say, okay, he finishes in his grocery line first. I won't bother him. And I think that allowed me to get a little bit more, maybe 2x2, 3x3, whatever. And so when that happened, I was okay. He was he had checked out. And something that came in, it was not any plan, was I just raised a finger. It just happened. And I'm
And he
sure
couldn't
that
see you. His back was.
yes, he had already gone past. He did not
Yeah.
see me at all.
Okay.
But I did this. It was just instinctive to say, "Wait a minute, you can't leave yet." You know, it was compelled to do that, and
Okay.
and he turned around. He felt that. He was attuned to that.
Yeah. And his eyes were on you. They weren't looking around the
Yeah,
parking lot.
he knew
Zeroed in
where
on
he was
you.
called from. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, uh, I wish I had that facility all the time, but
It's available if you want to put the time in, I guess.
yeah, no, of course. But,
That's why we're doing this nonsense here. Huh?
right, right.
Okay, thank you. Uh, so, uh, finer feeling, finer feeling. You reach a level where it goes past feeling. Again, the dumb examples we've used are, things you shouldn't have known. Elaine knew why that overpass fell over. Had no pictures of it. We had no information. It fell over and a bunch of guys got killed. Why? Boom, 10 minutes in, maybe 5. She spotted the second support built on an old dump. Of course it couldn't support the overpass. That gave away, and whole thing gave away, and I think 8 guys got killed. How do you know that? How did my vet friend, oh, she's got a good eye, the dog's got a bad back. My eye's not bad for dogs. I don't see it, but we'll give her the benefit of the doubt. She's a vet. She spends more time with dogs than I do at that stage of my career. But then to add, because the kids are riding on his back. Whoa, wait a minute. There's no proof here. That's when I dashed back after I dropped her off at the Esalen headquarters, whatever. Knocked on the door and said, "Did you know your dog has a bad back?" The lady immediately come back at me. "Yeah, the kids are riding on his back. We tell them not to, but kids." How did she know that? There was nothing going on. There are no kids riding on the dog's back at that time. That was a fantastic call. You start to get past normal, finer feeling level. And we changed the word there to sensing. Sensing. Okay? Yeah. Now, unfortunately, in the human condition, we learn a bunch of fancy words and we use them indiscriminately. So we have an idea. Well, my sense about that is, and it's not a sense, you had an idea. Okay? It'd be nice if our language were controlled, constructed. So when you said, my sense of this is, I know what level you're working from, give or take. Okay? I know it's not just an idea and you put this fancy word on it because you learn fancy words. Sensing is a better word than an idea. So I'll use that word. And you ain't there. So we unfortunately are languaging. If you notice, I'm kind of tight on you about words. Like, don't use the sensing word there. We're not there yet. This is finer feeling. That's what I'm trying to establish. Amongst ourselves, we ought to be able to dialogue so we know what level we're talking from. If you say sensing, when I do work with Susan, if she uses a sensing word, I know about what level she's at with them. And then I get verification by what she's seeing and experiencing, kind of thing. So anyway, blah, 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 just so you understand my my form of dialogue and why I try to be a hard nose about certain things. Talk to me, people. Talk to me. How are we doing with this so far?
Hi, Sensei. It's Dusty. I've got a little weird internet connection, but I guess I like this idea of concentric circles because I worked with those actually before I got into Aikido, kind of sensing like they're going around like this. I guess sometimes I'm wondering when to trust the information. We've been talking about information and kind of like everyone
Okay.
has these.
Yes. Okay. So let's stop there.
This.
Let's stop there. Stop. Stop. Let's stay just with that piece. How to trust. For one thing, again, I didn't use that diagram here because I sort of didn't like the concentric circles that way. That's a different picture of something. All we're talking about is an inner, finer level of feeling. An inner, finer level of feeling. You want to call that dimensionality? You can. You want to call that a 1x1 space into a 2x2 space of finer feeling? We can. Then we move from there into a 3x3 space. Don't get dizzy with this concentric circles. I know you. Don't get dizzy. Don't spin off.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you
That's
said
what I like to
something.
do.
That's what you are wont to do, we say in the literary world. Anyway, that means like to do. You should know what that means. Anyway,
Yeah.
but you said something cool there. Go ahead.
Well, no, I think it's like, I don't know. For me, it's like this.
Oh, verification. Can I take it over again? Verify.
How?
I went back to this house with this dog and I knocked on the door. You know why? I thought this lady was a sensitive, but I wanted to verify. That's why I went through the trouble to go back and knock on the door and ask them. Verification. Okay. Well, Susan will tell you, when she throws the name of a kid at me, I always started off with giving her a physical description of some mannerisms that she would recognize to make sure I have the right kid. Okay? So I'll tell you a story of where that came about. My ex-wife called me. She had remarried a guy who had 2 sons, and they were having trouble with one of them. And so they called me in to do what I do. And I started to describe this kid, his psychology, whatever the inner part of him was. And they're sort of looking askance at each other. That doesn't make sense. Thank God my ex-mother-in-law was there. And we used to do a lot of work together in this field. Play with being psychic or whatever we used to do. So we were kind of tuned in. And she said, oh, he's talking about the other son. At which time I went, oh, of course he is. So I had asked for this, let's call him kid number 1, the problem kid. But kid number 2 apparently recognized I could talk to his parents and he could talk to me at a finer level and I could bring that out to their parents more clearly. Did you follow my story?
Yeah.
Okay, so from that point on, I verify. When Susan gives me the name, I just don't say, oh yeah, I got the kid. I say, does this kid it's kind of shy and stands a little sideways and da-da and da-da. And she says, yeah, that's her. Okay, then I continue. I verify I've got the right kid just to make sure somebody else doesn't come in who needs help and wants to take the stage over. Verify. Okay? A guy asked me about some exercises for his daughter, and I said to do some exercises, and they were all about breathing. And I said to him, does she have a breathing problem? And he said, yeah, she has cystic fibrosis. I had no shit what that meant. First time I heard the word, okay. So I gave him some breathing exercises that were coming to me. He could play with his daughter. And then I went home and I couldn't shake loose. This cystic fibrosis was just following me around. Like I had to sit and go into the world of cystic fibrosis. I had no choice. It was just there. Okay. Now, again, wanted to verify. I mentioned to a doctor friend of mine, I was doing a little research on it. And he said, oh, I got a guy you should meet. He did research work on cystic fibrosis. Okay. And he's okay with psychic type people. Let's use that word here again. Okay. He said, I'll call him and set up a meeting. So I met this guy and I explained what I saw when I was studying cystic fibrosis. I use weird language. It's not medically based. I have no training. But he was able to follow me. If I said, well, it feels like a cliff here, And I can't seem to get across. It kind of reminds me of a spark plug that can't, where the gap is too big and the spark can't go to the other side. Spark plug, you know what spark plug is, how it works? Yeah, no? Okay. And all along the way, he says, I know where you are. I know what you're doing. Continue. Even though my languaging was weird, he knew exactly where I was in this process. Okay? What I forgot to tell him, and this is where you all have to be careful, don't jump the gun, don't know what to say here, because I didn't say to him, what I just laid out was my stage 1. I saw the problem. My stage 2 at another time, if we had a meeting the next day or next week or something, would be how to approach this problem so it's not a problem. And I didn't mention that to him, which was dumb of me. Okay. My group, we were practicing, I think Diana was there. Some guy built a measuring machine, or some company had a new fancy measuring machine. We had no information other than it was a measuring machine. We knew nothing more than that. So for a group practice that night after Aikido class, we're at my house, which was a meeting house. And we sat with this machine and got into it finer and finer and finer. And it started to say what it could do. Okay? We made little notes, said it could do this and do that and do that. Our contact guy to this company brought those notes to the big boss and said, whatever, these people come up with this information. And the big boss said, well, we already know all of that. He didn't know we had no information about this, and that was phase 1. Phase 2 would have been the next advanced model of that machine. That was available to us too, but we only gave them phase 1 or whatever, the first level of what it could do. Not what it could do easily better, which would have been worth some money for him, but it wasn't made clear. So anyway, people, if you're going to bump into a capability, don't jump the gun. Easy, I don't know, verify, don't get carried away. Following what I'm trying to say? Huh? Back to you, Tess. Yeah. Who dat?
This is Susan.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, can I jump in for a minute? Because I think Dusty's question is a really, really important one.
Go ahead.
You know, how to verify, validate what you are sensing. You know, you and I have worked out.
Careful. He's not at sensing yet. We're finer feeling.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But yeah, how to verify that finer feeling information at whatever level. You have just tremendous experience that you've passed on to us, and you and I have a really good system for, you know, validating and clarifying. And what you've really helped me with the concentric circles is, you know, being clear on where I'm at and sort of being complete at that level. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that when I get a sense that there's more information, more sensing that's starting to happen, I know where I am and I can be clear that, yes, this is more. And then it's a matter of patience and hanging out a bit and settling even deeper.
Deeper. Knowing you're going to move into the next finer of that.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so very, very important to be clear about where you are and where you've been.
Yeah. See, Dusty would probably tend to be too fast. Touch something and move on. Touch something and move on. And this hanging out with it to register, this is a particular level. Put a road sign up, for Christ's sakes. That's what I do. That's what Bobby Robert Nadeau is. It's a road sign. That's what a 1x1, 2x2, 3x. It's a road sign. Okay? That hang out with these levels. If you're, let's say you're doing a simple feeling your hands, and you're at a level where you feel like you have more dexterity. Well, you hang out there. How much dexterity? Would it be proper to touch somebody else's body if you were a masseur? Are you ready for that? Are you ready to hold a scalpel and make an incision? It's like, not quite. Okay. Hang out and recognize and feel, experience the level you're at so it can be marked on a map, so to speak, experientially. See, I know this is not Bob, oh, stomach. This is not Nadeau. Because those are all the signs of Bobby being irked and really getting off. Easy. This is not Nadeau yet. It's a Robert beginning to settle a bit. How do I know? I can feel certain things. I can feel a better position, my butt on the chair, a little squared awayness here. Oh, my feet are beginning to feel the floor. That clues me in on my map where I'm at. Okay. So spend more time with whatever we call it, each level, experience it more, recognize it. So next time you hit it, you know exactly where you are because it's virtually potentially the same feeling. Yeah, but you're fast and you zip around. Let's not.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll get confused. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Was that it?
Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Yeah. Ah. Okay. Did I mention? No, I don't think I have. A front page article in the San Francisco Chronicle, the Vine Whisperer. And we got horse whisperers, dog whisperers, whatever. The Vine Whisperer. This old Italian guy, 40 years ago or so, vine cutting, trimming. What do they call it when they cut things?
Pruning.
Pruning. He's a pruner. And apparently, from what I could tell from the article, he's done that finer, to the point where he can really feel and get information from the plant. The plant tells him which limbs are getting icky. Because when he cuts them and shows this observer, the winery owners and stuff, they can see, oh, that's bad inside there. He said to over trim is bad because you'll kill the plant too often. But the plant will tell you when enough is enough. Okay. Anyway, he's getting pretty famous. He's being hired by big name wineries because after he's finished with them, they do much better. They produce much better, less water, on and on and on and on. He's a vine whisperer. This word whisper, Bob Noah was telling us about him being a building whisperer. Should we insure you? If no, why not? And the building would talk back to him. I'm a fire trap. Okay. And he was picking that up again in that first 5 minutes. Okay. So what do we call him? A building whisperer? I guess we could. It's a wide open field. Whatever catches your interest is a potential. Yeah. I don't think I ever trained to be a dog whisperer, which I was for a while. But I was hanging out with dogs, dog shows, training dogs, stuff like that. But I wasn't training to be a dog whisperer, just something that seemed to happen. No. So I don't know how to get people to catch their lineage. Yeah. What lineage might bring them to their sensing world? But I would think it's something you're interested in that you keep following through with. You know, a person who can read their plants pretty good, they have an affinity for the plant. And if they continue, some of them know more and more about the plants. Oh, it's not water he needs. He needs some minerals. Da 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 da. They're trying to get better at that. Okay. I thought the film that was around for a bit on my friend the octopus or whatever it was, his approach to it was pretty good. That he got finer. And I liked how he was going through the stages, unbeknownst to him probably, but entering the cold water, going fuller into the cold water, going deeper into the cold water was a sort of a physical metaphor for moving into different dimensions, deeper in the water, a lot of things going on, but he's drawn to that animal, an animal, the octopus, and had a pretty good relation. I thought he could have done a couple of more clicks to get even better, but for what he did was pretty good, pretty good. If you get a chance to watch that, kind of follow his process, and you'll see the stages he's going through. And I just added, he went through some physical stages also, using the water as a symbolic of moving into the next and the next and the next. So keep your eye open for that if you watch.
Sensei, it was a documentary called My Octopus Teacher.
That's
My Octopus Teacher.
How many octopus films are there out there?
I don't know. But one of my favorite scenes, I don't want to spoil it, he's actually tracking the octopus underwater, tracking it underwater, picking up on the subtle things that other people don't perceive.
Of course. Anyway. Of course. He's in a finer feeling, experience. So yeah, of course, and of course. Yeah. Yeah. I try to train the Aikido people sometimes in the old days. Okay, watch that guy do a technique. What'd you see? Oh, the attacker came in and he stepped with his right foot forward, and the defender, Nage, stepped back with his left foot. Okay, fine, obvious. You saw that. Everybody settle down. We're moving into a finer, hopefully here. And watch the same move. Now what do you see at this level? Okay, and after a bit, if they don't see any change there, it's all right. We give them one to get a little better positioned, so to speak. They should begin to see other things. Like eventually they'll be like, oh, there was a buildup of energy through the attacker before he stepped and reached. Okay. And maybe even, and Nage was sort of feeling that, and that's why he moved early in the game or something. So I try to have people practice by looking at techniques and doing the same game. Okay. And on and on. Yeah. Unlimited field here. What's nice for the humans is functioning from a real good sensing level. Could be amazing. Amazing. Luther Burbank, following the vine cutter we were talking about, Luther Burbank must have been very good at this. Samuels called me and was telling me about he would have his people plant 1,000 plants. And he'd very quickly say, that one and that one and that one we're going to keep and do something with, but none of the others. Very fine level of past feeling sensing, which are the ones that want to become the, what do you call it in plants? The breeding plants, I don't know what to call them. Yeah. So when you reach certain levels, potential of really being special, being a gift to mankind, there's much more than that. But hell, we're in the human condition. If we can be better humans sensing, why the hell not? The horse whisperers make a lot of money. I did dog whispering just for my friends and people in my dog club that I was a part of. I never made any money to speak of in this stuff. Anyway, I think we're reaching the end. If people will help me finish up here before I talk to Autumn. Anything?
Yeah, Sensei, this is Sean. I feel as if there's a sense of what catches your interest. For me, that says aesthetic, but that's not just visual. It's an affinity, an analog on a field level. So it's an appreciation, a heart level.
You'll feel it when you feel it, could I say?
Yes, yes.
You have to
But
go through all the different body parts. I felt it in my knee. It wouldn't have to go through there. If that's your word, that's your clue.
Sure,
Good.
sure.
But there'll be
And
not only you saw it, but you got touched a bit. Okay.
and it allows you to see something less than obvious, which
Yes.
is on a finer than physical level.
Yes.
And it allows you to anticipate, intuit, and hopefully to respond to something that you see and emulate it.
Depends on the situation, yeah. That's why I tell you dumb stories over and over again. I don't know if you people listen to them. I'm in an elevator. There's an old lady there. I've got nothing for old ladies. I'm sorry. Even now, I don't have anything for old ladies. You've seen my wife. You know what I mean. But she was catching my attention a certain way. So trying to follow Sean's words, I was being more than seeing a nice looking old lady or looks like a nice old lady. I was being touched a little bit more. So much so that when I got home, I said, Jesus, something is still there. I went to my sitting room and I sat and I said, what's with this? Settled. Eventually got into ancient female wisdom, which was a beautiful experience. I don't remember now, it's been 50 years, 45 years ago, whatever. But it was a great experience. I picked up a lot of knowledge or whatever, experiential knowledge by doing that. Yeah. So whatever touched me, we don't have to go through the details. If you want to go through the details in your system, fine. But let's not make up rules. I didn't feel it in my heart. That means it's not important. I felt it in my kneecap, but kneecaps aren't very important. Only heart's important. Don't cloud the issue. It's too goddamn easy. It's too simple. It's too there. Okay? So, thank you, Sean. Okay. Stay on the program. I'm going to talk to Autumn for a bit, but this is for everybody, but a different topic. Autumn.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see you.
I'm here.
I know I hear your voice. I don't see you. There you are. Okay. I was wondering, I might have mentioned this before, but I think the improvement of your first basic character, okay, not the actress, okay, you, okay, just you, whatever you want to call that. I'll call it the first basic character. That you pump the pump. I may have mentioned to you, I thought you could exercise with it more. Pump the pump. And a center, my style of center is to work heavily with deeper base. And from that deeper base, energies flow up and down and up. I'm a fuller person, just a basic person, a better me. Okay. Certainly I won't be Bobby any longer. I'll be a Robert. I'm fuller. I'm there better as a Nadeau. Basic character. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the second way of doing it is you with the world that you're in. You're married now, right?
Engaged.
Huh?
Engaged.
I couldn't hear it. Engaged. Oh, okay. Well, one day maybe. But so that would be part of your circle, and it is now a bit. But that would be part of your circle. Your family is part of that circle. Your associates part of that circle, you basic in your basic world, just basic, okay? The close loved one, the family, the friends, whatever. And you can use that in and out beat also to be the character there who's fuller with that. So I showed you both styles, the center only style and the circle to center and back and forth style. Both of them create a character. Okay, you double up on it. It's a better, fuller character. Okay. Why I think this is important is let's say you're between jobs. One little variation here. You're between jobs. There you could shift to, in the world of theater, let's call it, you're available, that you can rise to the occasion of whatever you could be offered. That quite likely you could meet all their demands, or at least most of them, whatever. Okay. And here you're setting up a magnetism where the energies of the circular world theater are bouncing off of the energies of your center. And there's a little magnetism that goes on there where your name might come up in a, what do they call it when they choose actresses for a job? Casting. That your name, your face, something may pop in a little easier to them because this energy, magnetism glow that you're setting up. You don't have to be in the office with them. I can do most of my shit here on my front porch. Okay, so don't worry about that. So that's a little aside for that. Okay. And then when you go into your job, actress, then basically the same thing, because you pump the pump with your basic character better as you clear the decks. Actor clears the decks, so the energy of the character needed for that part will start to get mixed and appear. Take your space and be there where you are the character, kind of thing. And you can pump the pump a bit more and get all the tiny details about this character. Okay. Yeah. So doing more with you basic will facilitate you even being a better actress. Did you follow how I laid that out? I hope.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
So continuing with the basics, particularly of the character.
Of your basic character, yeah.
With
we're back to acting now, or on, where are we here?
Yeah,
I just laid out 3 different points, with 3 different locations.
So if I'm already, I have the roles, say.
Okay.
And I open up to the character and refine and refine and refine. All of the aspects of that character will come through.
Yeah, and there might be certain times where it's good to do that. I just was talking to Bob, and he happened to mention you're in the one thing you're working on is you're the daughter of somebody. But if the series goes on and on, you're going to be the older daughter. So your character as the younger daughter won't quite be right. If she's 15, well, soon she's going to be 18. She's not going to act exactly the same. She's going to be a bit different, right? So you're prepping for, if the thing goes on and on and on, that you're developing along with it.
And the same works for casting, calling me in, where I go, okay, open, settle, relax, finer, pump the pump.
Open, so that the energies can mix up a character. The system, the big system, loves this game, by the way. Loves this acting type, or this creating a character thing. That's the universe seems to think that's fun and great. So yeah, we're not doing anything anti-spiritual here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Everyone, that was good reminder for all of you, I hope. Remember, humans, we tend to get lazy. OSensei can bitch about that a lot. Yeah. They get too fast satisfied, which is one problem if someone were able to operate better from a sensing world. It'd be quite famous, make some big bucks, do a great service, but there's more. So the one there might be, this is pretty cool. And a lot of people will choose to just, that's it. I don't want to go any further. I'm going to just major in this. Not wrong, but there's more. The journey continues. Okay. Do with that what you will.
And on that note, Sensei, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And everyone, the next class will be on May 17th, Friday, May 17th in 2 weeks. Thank you, everyone, and best have a good evening.
Thank you,
Thank
Sensei.
you, Sensei. Thank you, Sensei. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Lauren.
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, and thanks to the team for your ongoing magnificent work.